I really don't want you to waste your youth. Your 20s are such an incredible time in your life, and as somebody who's firmly in their 30s, halfway between 34 and 35, there's a lot of life lessons that I wish that somebody had broken down for me when I was still in my 20s. I consider myself lucky though that as I look back on my 20s, I really have no regrets. I really did it all. I partied my ass off, starting with my undergrad at Arizona State. I experimented with making music professionally for the first couple years of my 20s. I then got serious about my career, building my personal career, and then starting businesses that enabled me to do pretty much everything that I want. I met my dream girl towards the end of my 20s, started building my dream life with her, and laid the foundation for a future that's really set us up for future success. Still, I made it harder than I needed to. Here's some lessons that I really wish that I had learned in my 20s that probably would have shaped my perspective quite a bit and really just made life a little bit easier for myself. Number one, life either happens for you or life happens against you. Perspective is everything. In my 20s, some fairly traumatic things happened to me in my life. A week before my 21st birthday, I got dumped by my girlfriend of 3 years that we were always talking about getting married. Rather than ending things like a normal human being, it really just wrapped into a completely toxic breakup. And honestly, it really scarred me for a number of years. It really just felt completely unnecessary that things needed to end the way that they did. Because of this, I spent the next 6 years of my life being single. Early on in my professional career, I was recruited to a company to interview at that was one of the biggest companies in my niche at the time. It meant a significant pay bump, better notoriety and visibility to my professional stature, and some additional perks. Something just didn't feel right when I received the offer though, and I remember emailing the hiring manager that I interviewed with some questions that I had just to clarify some things about the offer and the way that the compensation package was structured. I then heard from 3 different individuals at the company basically berating me on how ungrateful I was and how wrong I was just not to accept the offer outright. Even worse than that, word got back to my boss at the time that I had a ton of respect for, who was like a mentor for me, that I already felt guilty about potentially leaving, and the only place that that information could have come was from a leak within the company. This was very traumatic for me. It was quite chaotic, and as a young professional, I really felt that I was in the wrong, even though in hindsight I definitely wasn't. Over the next few years, I tried starting a couple businesses. All of them failed. I lost a lot of money, and I really just ended up feeling like a bit of a failure. But the reality was that those darkest moments in my life actually offered me the biggest opportunities for growth. I got dumped because I had work to do on myself. I didn't like myself, so why would anybody else like me? That breakup set me down a path of personal development and growth. After half a decade of personal development, growth, and really leveling up in life, I crossed paths with the type of girl that I could have only dreamed of being with all that time ago. I never would have had a shot with my now fiance, never would have even thought I was worthy of asking her out if I hadn't gone through this transformative and traumatic experience that led me down this period of personal growth. The failed job offer and that whole situation, along with my failed businesses, also put me in an amazing position for professional growth. What I didn't realize at the time was that these were major learning experiences for me. These were the challenges that would form the foundation of my future success. If I had taken the job, I might still be stuck at that organization, working my hands to the bone, stuck in middle management somewhere, and never really self-actualized to the point that I started a business for myself that unlocked everything that I ever thought possible for my life. What I wish that I knew in my 20s is that the harder the situation is, the more opportunity there is to grow as a result of it. The second thing that I wish that I knew in my 20s is that you should be learning something new every single day. The amount of free knowledge available on the internet for no dollars is absolutely incredible. I don't need to tell you this though, because you're watching this video and you probably already know this. I don't regret a single minute of my early 20s. I was living life to the fullest, but it definitely wasn't a period in my life of a lot of mental growth. It was really focused on great experiences with my friends and really just learning to be a cog in society's machine in my professional career. Closer to the age of 25 is where I really started to sink my teeth into the personal development game, and that's really where my life became a rocket ship. My income went from $14,000 per year to $115,000 per year in a period of about 18 months. Following that, I was able to start my first successful business. All of this was really centered around me starting to get into personal development and personal growth. I started investing in courses, I started listening to audiobooks, I started subscribing to podcasts, YouTubers, and really just getting educated around personal and financial growth and what the world could really offer me. Sometimes I do wish that I discovered this information a little bit earlier, just because I could be a little bit further along, but hey, you know what? I had a really great time between the ages of 20 and 25. One wish that I do have though is that maybe instead of focusing so much on business content, I'd focused more on self-actualization, metaphysics, and relationships, where I definitely feel like I didn't pick up on those things until a little bit later in life. If you're in your 20s, I definitely would make it a point just to try and learn something every day. Listen to some podcasts on your commute to work or an audiobook. Figure ways where you can combine something passive, like maybe cleaning or going for a walk, with something active, like listening and learning. And I promise you, you can watch the magic unfold. The third thing that I wish that I'd known in my 20s is that you really need to maintain your childish nature, and I definitely would recommend that you maintain some sort of hobby. To expand a little bit on why I got dumped, I was very much a child. I was playing video games with my friends all the time. I was still in college, like skipping class. I really had not committed to any sort of future for myself or any sort of direction with my life. I was completely rudderless, and it was really just depressing. My girlfriend at the time had had enough of it. She called me a loser, and she went and found a typical bro who had some direction in life on the straight and narrow, who had some job prospects out of college. She found what she was looking for, but this really affected me quite a bit. It wasn't so much that I got dumped, it was that she was right. I had no direction in life, and I really needed to start growing up a little bit. In hindsight though, to be honest with you guys, I think I went a little bit too far in the other direction. I put this great big chip on my shoulder, and I started just dedicating every single second of my life into actualizing the type of person that I knew that I could become, but there really just wasn't any space in this new identity that I was creating for myself for my old hobbies. I quit playing drums, I quit playing any type of video games, and all my free time was either dedicated to partying, vacations, or any free second that I had other than that was focused on self-improvement and personal development. It wasn't until I got into my 30s that I started actually reconnecting with a lot of those old interests that I had. I ran my first ultramarathon. I got back on my bike and started cycling, which was my first real big passion. I used to just love riding my bike as a kid. What I'm getting at here is there's something that I really just neglected in hindsight, and that's balance. Not every second of your life needs to be dead set on a mission. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to play video games. It's okay to have hobbies. The fourth thing that I wish that somebody had told me in my 20s is that you don't need anyone else's approval. I'm currently running 7-figure businesses. I have a net worth of close to $1 million, and there's at least somebody in the world that would definitely say, in my opinion, that I'm something of a success. My parents, though, have no idea what I do. I think that if you were to ask them what I do for a living or the name of any of my companies, I don't think that either of them would be able to tell you. When I announced that I was leaving my day job because my side business had become quite profitable, people still tried to tell me that I was insane and that I was making a huge mistake. To this day, they still don't get it. All of this is to say that a lot of people go through life seeking approval for others, and for a long time, that was me. As a redhead with bad acne growing up and very limited social skills that just never really fit in, I spent a lot of my life seeking approval from external sources. I thought that if I did enough, became enough, earned enough, that I'd get approval from others. That's never gonna happen, and it never needs to happen. You need to do things in life that make you happy. Your gut is gonna tell you everything that you need to know. Listen to your gut, don't listen to others. Lesson number 5 that I wish that I knew in my 20s is that ego is the enemy. Your own ego is probably sabotaging your own success. Your own belief in your own importance, your own belief in you always being right, and your own arrogance is probably standing in the way of the person that you are today and the person that you could be. To this day, I've learned everything that I know about business from courses and from YouTube. But I spent the first half of my 20s thinking that anybody with an online course or anybody with a YouTube channel giving free advice was some sort of scam. It was only when I swallowed my own ego and realized that maybe there were people out there with answers to questions that I haven't even thought to ask yet that I started to see my life literally change before my eyes. Ryan Holiday's book, Ego is the Enemy, is a must-read on this topic. He suggests that in order to achieve full fulfillment, you need to first cultivate humility and self-awareness, and I completely agree with this. Both of these are a journey though, and I still struggle with my own ego each and every day. You can either go through life thinking that you're always right, being hard-nosed and figuring things out the hard way, or you can become a student of the world, of yourself, and really start to understand how much you don't know and how much you have to learn and the real beauty in that. Lesson number 6 that I wish that somebody had told me in my 20s is that money won't solve all of your problems, but life is easier with it. I truly believe that nobody really understands what wealthy people mean when they say that money won't buy you happiness until they hit whatever level of success in their own head they think that they need to hit. For me, that imaginary number was $1 million per year with my businesses. I dedicated a solid decade of my life from figuring out what type of business that I wanted to start to creating a 7-figure agency. It was only when we hit that number on paper that I felt like I was actually released from having to hit it. It was freeing. Now that I've hit that number though, I understand what everybody else meant when they say that money doesn't buy you happiness. Nothing changed. This is why I suggested earlier in the video that it's important to have hobbies. It's important to have those things that you value and that you enjoy in your life outside of just personal development and work. It's important to have that balance because you need to have and enjoy that part of the journey. I'm lucky that I hit this number at a relatively young age because I could have spent the next 30 years of my life working towards this imaginary number that I had in my head just to finally hit it and realize that there's so much more to life outside of that. A big goal of mine over the next 12 months is really just to live with more intention, and I think that that actually might mean taking a bit of a pay cut just to have more freedom to do the things that I really want to be doing and just focus less on work and less on this number that I feel like I have to have. I will say though that while money won't buy you happiness, it certainly just helps make things a little bit easier. Having options, having an income where you can afford to go and do things when maybe you feel like you're a little bit stressed or you need to invest in some self-care definitely does help quite a bit. So I'm certainly saying that you don't need to have any money, but I am saying that there might be some number that you have in your head where really when you think about it, maybe you don't need to actually hit that number, and there might be something that's more realistic that really just enables the type of life that you want to be living. Let me know what you think of these in the comments down below, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I've got some awesome videos coming in the next couple of weeks that I think you're going to really like. That's it for this video. There's a lot of links in the description down below, including a link to my course on how to start, grow, and scale your own social media marketing agency, which is the business that I personally built, scaled it to 7 figures. Make sure to check out that link. It's the SMA Blueprint. I've also got a lot of awesome links to different templates and things that I've created to help you guys just be a little bit more successful in your life. Make sure to check those out in the description as well. If you're looking for a video to watch after this one, a good one that I would recommend is this one right here, where I talk about how to unlock unlimited focus on demand. I'll see you over there.